The recent arrest of Gervonta "Tank" Davis, a prominent figure in professional boxing, has once again thrust the issue of athlete accountability into the spotlight, sparking heated discussions across sports media, social platforms, and the boxing community. The 30-year-old World Boxing Association WBA lightweight champion was apprehended in Miami Beach, Florida, on July 11, 2025, on a misdemeanor battery charge related to an alleged domestic violence incident. This event, occurring on Father's Day, June 15, 2025, involved an altercation with his ex-girlfriend, who is the mother of two of his three children, at her residence in Doral, a suburban area of Miami-Dade County. The incident, combined with Davis's history of legal troubles, has amplified concerns about his behavior outside the ring, prompting figures like ESPN's Stephen A. Smith to publicly condemn him and call for greater accountability in sports. According to reports, the altercation took place when Davis visited his ex-girlfriend's home to pick up their two young children. What began as a routine custody exchange quickly escalated into a heated argument. Police documents state that Davis decided not to take the children and informed his ex-girlfriend of this change. When she reached for one of the children in the back seat of his vehicle, Davis allegedly struck her on the back of the head and slapped her face, resulting in a small laceration to her lip. The situation was further complicated by the presence of the children, who witnessed the incident, and by the involvement of the ex-girlfriend's mother, who arrived at the scene and recorded part of the altercation on her cell phone. This video, which reportedly shows Davis throwing a small box at the woman, has become a critical piece of evidence in the case. The ex-girlfriend did not immediately contact the police but sent a text to her mother during the incident, prompting her mother's swift arrival. Upon seeing her daughter in distress and crying with visible injuries, the mother began filming, capturing key moments that have since been handed over to the Doral Police Department. Medical records from Baptist Health in Doral further corroborated the woman's account, confirming the injury to her lip, which strengthens the prosecution's case. Legal experts note that the combination of video evidence and medical documentation makes this case particularly challenging for Davis, as such evidence can carry significant weight in misdemeanor battery cases, especially when victims may later hesitate to testify. Davis's arrest was not immediate. Nearly a month passed between the Father's Day incident and his apprehension, during which time he continued his daily activities without publicly addressing the allegations. Authorities had entered his details into a law enforcement database, and on July 11th, a license plate reader in Miami Beach flagged his vehicle near the Lincoln Road area just after midnight. Miami Beach police conducted the stop and transferred Davis to the Doral Police Department, which had jurisdiction over the incident. At the station, Davis reportedly refused to read or sign a Miranda warning form, a decision some legal observers interpret as defiance or a lack of immediate legal counsel. Initially held without bond, he was later granted a $10,000 bail, which he paid to secure his release the same day. Upon his release from the Turner Guilford Knight Correctional Center, Davis was escorted by 3 correctional officers to an awaiting SUV, an unusual arrangement that has sparked speculation about preferential treatment. Social media clips captured him leaving the facility with a t-shirt covering his face, avoiding media questions. His manager, presumed to be among those escorting him, also remained silent. The absence of public statements from Davis, his legal team, and his promoter has fueled further scrutiny, with many in the boxing world and beyond questioning how this incident will affect his career and public image. Stephen A. Smith, a prominent voice in sports media, addressed the arrest on ESPN's First Take with a passionate monologue that resonated widely. He described Davis's behavior as part of a disturbing pattern, emphasizing that this was not an isolated incident, but one of several legal entanglements that have marred the boxer's career. Smith pointed to Davis's 2020 hit and run incident in Baltimore, where he injured 4 people, including a pregnant woman, and was sentenced to 90 days of house arrest. Davis violated the terms of that sentence by staying in a luxury hotel and moving to a different residence without permission, leading to jail time. Smith argued that such repeated defiance suggests Davis believes he is above the law, a mindset that cannot be excused by his athletic prowess. "You don't get a pass just because you can fight," Smith declared, stressing that being undefeated in the ring does not exempt one from real-world consequences. Smith's comments extended beyond Davis to address broader issues in sports culture, particularly the tendency to overlook off-field misconduct in favor of talent and marketability. He called out major broadcasters like ESPN, Showtime, and DAZN, which have heavily promoted Davis as a generational talent, urging them to reconsider their endorsement of athletes with problematic behavior. You put this man on your platform, you're endorsing not just his skills, but his behavior, Smith said, highlighting the ethical responsibility of networks profiting from pay-per-view events. His remarks have sparked a wave of discussion about the role of sports organizations in holding athletes accountable and the potential consequences for the industry if they fail to do so. Davis's legal history adds weight to Smith's critique. In February 2020, he was charged with domestic battery after a video surfaced of him grabbing the mother of his child by the neck at a charity basketball game in Coral Gables, Florida. That case was later discharged. In December 2022, another domestic violence charge emerged when Davis allegedly slapped a different woman, though the accuser recanted, and the case was dropped. The 2023 violation of his hit-and-run sentence further eroded public trust in his judgment. The current case, described as more thoroughly documented due to the video evidence and medical records, has intensified scrutiny. Critics, including advocacy groups like the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, argue that this incident represents a fourth strike in a well-documented pattern of troubling behavior. The involvement of Davis's children in the Father's Day incident has raised additional concerns. Sources close to the Doral Police Department indicate that Child Protective Services (CPS) was contacted because the altercation occurred in the presence of the children, aged 4 and younger. While there is no evidence that the children were physically harmed, Florida law allows CPS to investigate parental fitness when children witness domestic violence. Such an investigation could lead to family court proceedings, potentially affecting Davis's custody arrangements and adding another layer of legal complexity. This development has heightened public and media attention, with some speculating about the long-term impact on Davis's personal and professional life. The Father's Day altercation also revealed deeper emotional tensions. According to the police report, the argument was not solely about custody logistics, but was exacerbated by Davis's alleged comments about his son's sexuality, expressing insecurities that reportedly fueled the confrontation. The ex-girlfriend attempted to de-escalate, but the situation spiraled into physical violence. Observers from psychological and legal perspectives suggest that these comments may reflect underlying issues of identity and control, which could manifest in volatile behavior if unaddressed. The emotional volatility described in the report has shifted the narrative from a simple custody dispute to a more complex case involving personal struggles and strained co-parenting dynamics. From a professional standpoint, the timing of the arrest is particularly damaging. Davis's most recent fight on March 1, 2025, against Lamont Roach Jr. at Brooklyn's Barclays Center ended in a controversial majority draw. Many fans and analysts believed Roach deserved the victory, especially after a ninth-round incident where Davis took a knee, claiming he needed to wipe grease from his eyes due to a hair treatment. The referee's decision to rule it a slip rather than a knockdown preserved Davis's undefeated record but drew boos from the crowd and criticism online. The lackluster performance already had fans questioning his discipline and focus, and the arrest has further amplified doubts about his career trajectory. A rematch with Roach, tentatively scheduled for August 16, 2025 in Las Vegas, now hangs in the balance. Neither Davis nor Premier Boxing Champions PBC has confirmed whether the fight will proceed, and Roach's cryptic social media post urging truth and peace has done little to clarify the situation. The court hearing on July 29 may determine whether Davis is allowed to leave Florida, as judges often impose travel restrictions in domestic violence cases, particularly when children are involved. A restriction could disrupt his training and fight preparations, potentially derailing the rematch and affecting his standing in the boxing world. The boxing industry itself faces a dilemma. Davis remains one of its biggest stars, with a 30-0 record, 28 knockouts, and a massive pay-per-view draw. His social media influence and mainstream appeal make him a valuable asset for promoters and broadcasters. However, his repeated legal issues pose a growing liability. An anonymous promoter quoted in the Ring magazine summed up the challenge. It's not about talent anymore. It's about liability. Sponsorship deals, broadcast rights, and marketability are at risk as public sensitivity to athlete misconduct increases. Advocacy groups are intensifying pressure, with online petitions targeting boxing commissions and broadcasters like Showtime and DAZN, demanding they distance themselves from Davis until his legal matters are resolved. The National Coalition Against Domestic Violence has circulated an open letter, garnering thousands of signatures, urging the industry to stop glorifying athletes with a history of violence against women.